So Melyssa Ford from the Joe Budden podcast, they brought up a clip where Mase and Camron but tell a story about when they were younger, they were hotter rappers, and they went to a massage parlor. And when they went to the massage parlor, they ended up interacting with a young woman. They took the young woman back to an apartment. All three of them got involved in some sexual activities, adult activities, which is perfectly fine. All of it was consensual. There was seemingly no harm at play in the conversation, the way that Camron and Mase told the story. It sounded more like locker room talk, if anything, because I guess of the vulgarity about it. But honestly, even in that one, it's a show, it's a guy show, so it doesn't, it doesn't even that doesn't matter. But so they played it on the Joe Budden podcast, and Melyssa Ford had this to say about said incident.
Women coming forward and talking about the fact that is not exactly the way that I remember that story happening.
I don't think that's right what you're doing. I don't think that's right.
Well, who's doing?
What you doing? I don't think that's right. Like, them niggas clearly went to a whorehouse and took somebody up out of there.
Says them. And
that's who told the story. But that's who told the story.
I get that.
So of course it says no. Who else is there?
And just to help paint the picture in this, she is insinuating that, okay, she starts off by saying, hey, during this climate, this is probably not the type of story to be telling on the internet. This is probably, during this movement of things going on, the law that's reaching its statute of limitations in New York is coming up. People are coming forth, et cetera, et cetera. She's saying she would not say this publicly at this time, which, roll my eyes, I may be able to agree with. What she says next is totally out of pocket.
Is there a distinct possibility that there may have been underage girls in that whorehouse?
Oh, come on now.
That's crazy.
I think that's just... I think any insinuation of that during this time, it's contradictory, it's hypocritical. How can you acknowledge that during this time, these are not things that you should be speaking about, elaborating on, joking about even in the public eye, while simultaneously in this time making a bunch of assumptions, trying to say that there's possibilities of things, when you know that people misinterpret your words all day and all night because you have a major platform and because they want things to fit their narrative. That is crazy to say.
I don't know what you're doing. That's disgusting what you're doing.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
What are you doing?
Okay, I am not gonna land that plane. Just saying.
That plane should have never even took off.
That's not a plane.
Yeah, I think everybody was letting her know that is a terrible thing. I mean, a terrible thing to even play about. A terrible thing to even play about. And the worst, the literal worst part about it is that on that podcast, at least from my perspective, Melyssa Ford is supposed to provide, I don't know, some sort of perspective that can't be had by the men on that podcast. Melyssa Ford is supposed to provide a perspective that men can't have. But to put these things out there into the atmosphere without having any prior knowledge, and she's talked about her times in Hollywood before. She's talked about those times in Hollywood before. So if she had some prior knowledge, I'm pretty sure that she would have talked about it. I'm pretty sure she would have talked about it. Now, she does get on the podcast on the next episode and kind of delivers a little half-hearted apology or, whatever. I thought it was a bullshit apology. But that's a dangerous-ass woman right there. That's an extremely dangerous woman. And I'm trying to find the clip of where Camron and Mase, respond to her. I'm trying to find the footage of Cam and Mase responding to her. Hold on one second. Because that's just nasty. That's nastily trifling. I want to find the first one, not the text messages and stuff like that. Okay, it looks like I'm gonna have to go in and edit some of this stuff. Okay. So there's a clip in which Cam and Mase, they take it kind of lightly. They apologize. You know, they apologize, not apologize, but say, hey, you know, Melyssa, that was out of pocket, da-da-da-da-da. They really handled it very lightly. Now, Camron follows it up with normal Camron fashion and starts to bring out the jokes. Camron says, fuck you and your apology. Stay strong and stand on business. We just busy at the moment. We'll get back to you soon, boo. And nothing violent before you accuse us of more shit that's inaccurate. This is Camron responding because I guess he finally found some time.
In the 90s, which I was talking about, the actual year I was talking about was 1992. We was in a whorehouse. And we was laughing, having fun. And we saying, whatever, we was in a whorehouse. Mase, Mase don't always give me permission to talk about our old stories because, he's a man of God and he got other shit going on, but he remembers his past sometimes, so sometimes he let me talk. Anyway, I'm talking about this time we in the whorehouse and all that shit. Talking about we slid a bitch, all this shit. Cool, whatever. I see a clip where on Joe Budden's podcast where Melyssa Ford is talking about, oh, it might have been underage girls in there. First of all, I only like older bitches. Second of all, it was 1992. We was underage.
Now the internet's calling cap on that. I'm gonna keep it consistent. Apparently that's cap. Camron, the rapper, in 1992 was not underage. I want to do the math here with you guys right now. Camron, the rapper, in 1992. He was born in 76. 1976, 1992 would put him at 16. That would put him at. I don't know what NYC's age of consent is. Let's look that up as well. But that puts him at a very young age. New York City. Age of consent. All right, here we go. 17 years old, so it looks like they were underage. My God, Melyssa Ford, this is crazy. And that's something people talked about too. Who's protecting them?
That's A and B. We wasn't supposed to be in there. We wasn't 18. I just turned motherfucking 16. I ain't even defending myself on that nonsense. You're not even from this country. I don't know what the fuck was going on in the whorehouses in Canada or wherever you from or whatever pedophile shit they on, wherever you from. We not on that. I ain't even going into that. More of the story, she said it. Knowing the times we in, Joe Buttons and them went in on whatever. They're like, yo, that's some serious allegations, this, that, and the third. But they didn't edit it out. So from two things I take from that, they either threw her under the bus or they said, fuck it, let's get the ratings or whatever they want to do.
Joe Budden and them clarified this, though. On the podcast, they asked, because they ask all the time, hey, I felt like you said X, Y, and Z. Do you want to edit this out? It happens on Let's Keep It a Buck from time to time. Hey, I felt like this was said. It was out of pocket. Do you want to edit this out? If this person says no, that means they're willing to stand on business. They're willing to stand on their square. I don't think it has anything to do with, based off of having that explanation, and Camron didn't have it at the time, but based off that explanation, I don't think it had anything to do with the views. Melyssa Ford just decided to stand on business. She said, no, don't edit it out. We standing on business.
Either way it came out, it could have been edited out. It wasn't live like I'm doing live right now.
That's true, though. That's true. I agree.
So I ignored it because it was nonsense. So I ignored the shit. We said a little something on our show, but we don't get that. We don't give this type of energy I'm doing on live. That type of business on our show, my nigga. Our shit is sports and our fun. So this energy don't go on our show. This Cam energy on my own personal time. So we said a little something. I ain't even say nothing. I said, fuck the bitch. The bitch don't know what she talking about, whatever. So yesterday, whatever day, she issues an apology. I'm like, nah, don't apologize. Because I was going to address it when I felt like addressing it. But the reason I addressed it yesterday is because it's like, yo, you say that foul shit? Because that's some foul shit to say. Man felt like that shit, like, and the times when for you to make them type of allegations, don't know what the fuck you talking about? You serious? Come on, my nigga. Come on, my nigga. Stop playing with niggas, man.
I think what's important to me in this conversation is that whether or not Melyssa Ford said that they did these things specifically, whether or not, you know, she made some sort of hardcore insinuations about it, the idea of putting it in the air that this is a possibility, while acknowledging that we are in a time in which people are losing mad opportunities behind this. That's a new show. What Camron and Mase have is a new show with new sponsorships, with you know, a bunch of new opportunities, business ventures. They employ so many people. It's not like you're so many degrees of separation away from them where you couldn't get more information behind it. Hell, that could have even been a Patreon conversation. That could have been so many other things, questions, comments. Keep it to yourself. And I know that it was brought up by somebody else, and she didn't mean she wasn't going to bring it up. It was brought up by somebody else. But they've had situations before where, hey, I don't want to elaborate on this right here. I don't want to elaborate on this right here. There are so many other ways, even if she felt that way, that she could have expressed that, that I feel like that was just terrible. I mean, terrible. Terrible. And hey, different strokes for different folks. We different people. Those are conversations in which I would have to have about like hiatuses and all those other things. Because the second point to that, to me, is what is your motive? What is your thought process? And hey, I'll give it to her. You was in the industry for so many years. They was talking about the P. Diddy stuff. You specifically being a video vixen, I know you had experienced a lot of stuff that other people hadn't experienced before. In the industry, I know it can get grimy. The idea that you automatically assume to take it to the worst part of these things, you did stupid shit when you was a child. You did crazy stupid shit when you was a child. We all did when you was younger. It would sound insane if somebody automatically put things on you that weren't true, spreading false narratives on you as an automatic response to you just telling a story about you and your childhood. That's crazy. How do you see men? How do you see men that end up in industries? How do you see men like that? And mind you, went straight for the offense, never for the defense. Like Cam said, how are these 16-year-olds who at the time wasn't popping, didn't have traction in the rap game, how are these 16-year-olds able to access this brothel in order to have access to these people? And I hear you, EOS. Didn't give a timeline. She didn't know that they were kids or whatever. There's no grace for any of this stuff. And again, we know these things. Like, we know these things to be true about men, about young boys and young women, girls in society. Hypersexualization is rampant. People end up in sexual situations at way young ages, 9 times out of 10, not 9 times out of 10, but 9 times out of 10 when they're underage, right? So with that being said, where is the grace for somebody like that? If somebody told me, and this is just an example, if somebody told me a woman on Adam 22's podcast or whatever the case may be, or one of these shows or whatever says, yeah, I'm 22 and I have 35 bodies. You know what my first instinct is going to be? It's not going to be, damn, she was hoeing, she was thotting around, bopping or whatever. I'm going to think 22, man, you know, that's, or 19, or, you know, any of these younger ages, I'm gonna be like, man, that's a lot for that age. I wonder and hope that she's okay. Why? Because that sounds to me like she got put in a sexualized environment at an early age. And no child deserves to be put in that predicament. And so I would say the same thing if it was a young man. Yo, I'm 19. I got about 40 bodies. Oh, you know what? That's crazy to me. That makes sense if you were put in sexualized situations at an early age. We need to check on you. I need to check if your mental is straight. My first thought isn't, oh yeah, you was banging on kid. Like that's a crazy thing to automatically jump to the most devious situations. I think that's just out of pocket. I mean, out of pocket isn't even the words. That is, we need to have a conversation about, you know, you being on the podcast, and how you're on the podcast. That's to me what that sounds like. But you know.